So, the first video appeal, beautiful, meaningful, and responsible. It's a great topic. I'm happy to introduce the speakers of this first question. Tonight I have the pleasure to share the stage, in a way, with Delphine Bégy, President of AIA Life Designers, Adrien Paporello, Director of AIA Life Designers Paris Agency, Simon Tsuderos, Director of the International Development of AIA Life Designers, and last but not least, Alexandre Omi, Director of Building and Security at Centre Pompidou. First of all, welcome and thank you for having me moderating this session. I would like to start about the global vision of AIA, and for sure, the first question has to be addressed to Delphine. So, for several years, your agency has advocated for an approach to sustainable and health-promoting architecture. What is your global vision today, and how do you plan to implement it internationally?
Thank you, Lucas. Our vision rests on a simple conviction. Architecture can no longer be conceived as an isolated product, but as a living ecosystem, linked with its territory, environment, and human community. We aim to move from a logic of technical performance to a regenerative approach, where every project actively contributes to health of life, people, but also soils, air, water, and biodiversity. This vision is embodied in our motto, for health promotion architecture, and in a clear roadmap, reducing our carbon footprint, preserving what already exists, co-creating with local communities, and strengthening territorial resilience. Through our project in France and abroad, we want to show that an architecture firm can be a key player in ecological and societal transition.
I was impressed actually by a few words you said, especially preserving what already exists, which is in a way your manifesto, let me say. So rephrasing it in building with what exists. So you stress a lot, you emphasize a lot the principle of building what already exists. And my question is, how does this approach translate into practice, please?
Working with existing structures is, above all, an environmental and social responsibility. Every building already built embodies both carbon and history. Rehabilitating it means avoiding demolition, extending its life cycle, and anchoring its transformation in a logic of sobriety. In Paris, the Miolis project, for example, illustrates this approach. We choose to preserve and rehabilitate, to green the site, to introduce bio-based materials, while reopening the site to the city. In Marseille, another example, the renovation of Saint-Joseph Hospital follows the same philosophy, enhancing natural light and comfort, because collective health is directly linked to the quality of the spaces where we heal and live. Preserving the existing means preserving the planet, most of all, and improving daily life.
Improving daily life, I think, is essential. As a matter of fact, you design for people, you design for communities. So I'm stressing Delphine right now. Another question for her. When you say you build with communities, how does this approach can transform your projects and their social appropriation?
Architecture only makes sense if it is lived in. Involving residents ensures better appropriation and stronger social sustainability of projects. The Siamorphose project in Brest is a powerful example. Instead of imposing a top-down vision, we worked hand in hand with homeowners, residents, and local actors to design new shared use, green courtyards, and adaptable housing. This method rebuilds trust and social balance. Residents become active agents of change, and architecture becomes a lever for cohesion.
Thank you, Delphine. I have another, I promise, the last for the moment, question for you. So how can you switch that into an international approach, please?
Okay. Our responsibility as a major international agency is to beyond existing standards. As we stated during the Climate Enterprise Convention, our ambition is to design only regenerative buildings whose net impact is positive for both health and ecosystem. It's very demanding, and we have to transform our methods using renewable and recycled materials, integrating biodiversity into every project, systematically measuring our carbon footprint, and strengthening dialogue with tertiary and research institutions. Only then can architecture truly help preserve the planet while meeting fundamental human needs to heal, to live, to learn, and to share life together in healthy environments.
Thank you. But as a matter of fact, here with me I have the head of international development, and this is a question about the international ambition. So I'm happy to pass the word on to Simon.
Yes, thank you, Lucas. Thank you, Delphine. I must say, for international development or environmental commitment, always need to adapt to the market we work in. And for each project, before moving forward, we check what kind of approach, environmental approach, can we have. But of course, we need to adapt to the reality of the countries we work in, and so the technical, economical aspect are to be taken into account. At the same time, we also consider the social value that our project can bring to the population. That's why our international work is mainly focused on public facility projects that benefit to the largest number of population. So in China, we started around 2008. We were involved in a major hospital project in Beijing. So that was the first step for us in China. Then, therefore, we developed several other projects in healthcare, delivering about six very large hospitals, with, of course, other smaller facilities. Then we moved on to environmental plants, like waste treatment factories. And now we are also involved into education sector. In Morocco, it's a little bit the same story. First step was winning international competition in Rabat, so for the project, the IBN Sina project. And then being there, we were lucky to be involved into 3 other big hospital projects. Then we had chance to participate into a stadium competition that we won, and we are very happy because the stadium will be delivered this week. It's finished, and then now we are moving on a low carbon mobility in Morocco. And I'm very happy to announce that we just won a competition. We were noticed yesterday.
Wow!
Yeah, it's a high-speed train maintenance center next to Casablanca, and we are very happy to participate into the new expansion of a railway system in Morocco.
Wow, impressive! So a round of applause for the new competition that you won.
Well,
You, all of you.
all of us. Thanks.
I was impressed by some few words, as I always do. In this way, we were talking about the social and the community dimension. So according to the context that you're designing in, so how do you prioritize inclusivity and accessibility in urban spaces?
Inclusivity in urban design is not only about accessibility, it's about making public space safe, clear, and welcoming for all. So for instance, in China, because of the very large scale of our project, we often design a complete separation of floors with two-level lobbies for the hospital. So ground floor open to pedestrian and the city with all kind of services. So it's really inviting large entrances. And usually we will use a sunken plaza dedicated for vehicles. With drop-off very next to the door for patients, and also access to the parking. That's also where the taxi will wait for the people. In Morocco, I can, for example, the Ibn Sina project. It integrates open gardens. In continuity of a park, and in this way, it's turning a healthcare facility into civic spaces.
Okay, but now we are focusing on the macro strategy in a way. But my interest is how you move from macro to micro. How you connect them.
Yes. Again, the Ibn Sina Hospital is a good example to illustrate how architecture can connect macro and micro scales. Its vertical void integrated into the facade is aligned with a major city boulevard of Rabat, leading down to the Medina, creating a direct urban to building relationship. So it's kind of acts as a signal in the city. So that's the macro scale, and the micro within this vertical gap. There are on each floor many small gardens accessible to patients and caregivers. So it's for them the possibility to go outside of the medical atmosphere, and also gives the relationship with the whole city. So it's somehow a good link between macro and micro. In the podium of this building, we have a very large lobby, which is naturally ventilated. So the idea also here is to create a space that is in between interior and exterior. It's in the continuity of a park. So also that's a kind of relationship between the interior and the city, the scale of the city.
Yeah, thank you so much. Now I'm moving from the left side to the right side of the speakers. And now we stay more local. So we talked about China, Morocco, international development. Now we focus on the Pompidou Centre. We are here in Paris. We have to. And I would like to use a few words that were written in the video pill. And I would like to address them to Alexandre. So being beautiful, meaningful, and responsible from the Pompidou perspective. So how do you think the Centre Pompidou can be seen for the people, the city of Paris, but also the visitors, as a beautiful architecture, but also something very meaningful and responsible? The word to you.
Thank you, Lucas. As you probably know, if you've been in Paris for a while, there have been videos surfacing from the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s when the building was first unveiled. And the general consensus was at the time that it was ugly. If you ask the same people today what they think about the center, they'll say, we can live without it. So beauty has always been subjective, and it always will be. But the ambition with this project that we're working on with AIA is that the transparency on the lower floors is going to be the new norm in 2030. The openness to the surrounding streets that will allow people to come and go a lot easier than they can now is probably going to make everybody agree that it's a beautiful piece of art that will remain a beautiful piece of art. Meaning is also something very important because Pompidou is at the center of two of the most visited areas in Paris. There's Le Marais on one side, there's Les Halles, the best commercial center in the entire France. So, and it's Pompidou that makes the liaison between the two. So if you ask any business around Pompidou, they'll say, if this building is not there, I'm going to lose my customers. So just make sure, and that's what they asked us a few months ago, just make sure there's always something happening around the renovation site because we need people to keep coming. Otherwise, we're going to lose business. Responsibility. That dates back to the 70s when Piano and Rogers conceived the building. Their goal was to make sure that it was like shiftable. I don't know if that's the word in English, but you know what I mean.
We got you.
Okay. So, and they conceived the building so that it could be remodeled inside every 25 years. There was a first 25-year cycle remodel in the 2000 era. And inside we call it rénovation intérieure, which basically means that we shifted a few things inside, but only those who were old enough at the time know what it is. And we approaching the 50 years anniversary. That's going to be in January 27th, so well, be ready. And so it's a good time for a new remodel, and hopefully it's going to be another good one.
Thank you. Well, to be fair, your answer was beautiful, meaningful, and responsible. Thanks a lot. You said the cooperation between the two of you. So now I'm just focusing on the eco-responsible integration. So the first I'm asking to is this time, like Adrien. So get prepared, and it's about how can the renovation of the Centre Pompidou become a model of eco-responsible integration of an iconic monument with a dense urban fabric?
So in France, when I was a student, we used to be focused on contemporary architecture, on building new, and recently we are witnessing a real shift in paradigm. For most of us, it's now well known that in France, the buildings of tomorrow are already built, as Delphine said in the video. So, in a sense, we are adopting practices that are already widespread in other parts of the world, and particularly in Italy. So preserving the Centre Pompidou is an eco-responsible choice by itself. It avoids wasting materials. It gives the center a new life with a fully contemporary energy performance and such. So what we are demonstrating here is that modern heritage, 20th century architecture can absolutely meet the needs of our time. This was the very ambition of the Centre Pompidou when it was first conceived. A tool which is ready to adapt to evolving uses and also to new technologies. So, and regarding the connection with the city itself, the project is designed to strengthen the link between the city and the centre, both physically, I would say that through new access points, to new point of view, new perspectives, but also culturally. What I mean is that the program that evolves to remain open and accessible to all audiences, and this in the long term. So that's the main objective.
Thank you. Word to you, Alexandre.
Maybe two additional insights on the building point of view. The first is that we aim, and we passed on the aim to AIA, to reuse, repurpose, or recycle about 30%, so everything that's going to be taken out of the building. Meaning it's either going to be used elsewhere, going to be used inside but in some other way, or given to somebody who has a good idea of how to use it. So that's the first thing. The second thing is we're going to accomplish a small miracle, which is providing an additional 3,000 square meters of exhibition space without building anything else. So basically what we did is mostly what people who live in small apartments do. You look for every square meter that's not being used the right way and make sure it's optimized. So that's what we did for the entire building. So we went through every floor, every ground floor, even the lower floors that nobody visited for a while. And we repurposed all those square meters and decided this is going to be used and optimized so that in 2030, even the most avid visitors that come here, come to the center every day, will discover something new.
Impressive. That's really, really impressive. My latter question for both of you, actually, focusing on your cooperation, is about the preservation. How you preserve and transmit also this 20th century heritage, Alexandre.
You've probably seen in the news that the procedure has started to make this building a historical landmark. So it's remarkable in a lot of ways. The first is that it's going to be one of a very few buildings that will be a landmark before they turn 50 and while their creator is still alive, which is the case for Renzo Piano and the building, which is obviously not 50 years yet. So that's the first testament to how important the building is to the 20th century. And in the project, we are going to dedicate a space to recap the history of the building from the 70s till its completion, to the renovation's completion, so that visitors, and especially the younger ones who've not known the 70s and the year 2000s, will be able to see what the building was when it started, and how many people came to the opening, how it evolved over time, and why we made those transformations so that the entire history is traced and not forgotten.
Impressive. A few words from you?
Yes, to complete from an architectural and heritage point of view, what we aim to preserve is both the building itself and its diversity of uses. So the Centre Pompidou was conceived as a multidisciplinary house, and it is truly part of its DNA. It is, of course, a museum, but it is also home to libraries, to cinemas, to restaurants, and this architectural and social utopia is precisely what we need to preserve. It goes beyond architecture, and to achieve this, as Alexandre just said, we need to keep in mind the strengths of the building from the perspective of its rehabilitation. So flexibility, adaptability were in the very heart of the concept of the project. So it was envisioned that the building could evolve in terms of use and be thoroughly renewed every 25 years, as you said. And it's very important to understand that it was already, that something, what's happening now, it's something that was planned, in a way.
Okay. You said going beyond architecture. As I mentioned in the initial greetings, I'm from the plant, so I'm quite passionate about what lies behind architecture in terms of technology. And I would like to focus with the both of you about the technical constraints for this collaboration and for the Centre Pompidou on generally speaking. The word to you. Yes,
okay.
Of course.
What most people don't know is that this project was supposed to start 4 or 5 years ago, because there are a lot of things that don't work. There's asbestos, obviously. There are technical equipments that are at the end of their life cycle. And the first project was just technical renovation, which means you probably would come in one day, see something, come back 2 years later, and it'll be just the same, but just new. When President Lebon was appointed in summer of 2021, he decided that spending that much money and for the public not to see anything different was a pity and a shame. So he decided to give the entire staff, all employees of Pompidou, a blank slate, and told them reinvent the center for the next 50 years. So the challenge is probably something Adrien is going to come to on the building and architectural side. But from the Centre Pompidou's point of view, is having given everyone a blank slate, it's like giving a kid a Christmas present with unlimited budget. Everybody came with lots and lots of gift requests. So the challenge for us today, and even this morning, was how do you fit all those gifts in a basket that cannot grow as much as you'd like to? That's the idea.
You're very bad, Santa Claus. Adrien, sorry, I interrupt you.
No. Yes, I'd like to describe the works AIA Life Designer is in charge of, because, as you said, there are 2 projects. So I would focus on the project that we are in charge of. So we will replace 100% of the facade, which are damaged and polluted. We will replace the entire energy production system, as well as the fluid distribution, all the iconic pipes, internally and externally. And we will also improve safety and accessibility of the building. And at the same time, we are removing as much asbestos as we can in order to improve the condition of use and maintenance for all the persons that work in the center. So thanks to that, we will bring the building up to today's safety and energy standards. So as you pointed out, it's essential to do it while respecting the architectural identity of the center. That is why we carried out a detailed diagnostic of all existing elements in the center. We followed this method for every item. We keep it for every item. We keep it if it's in good condition. We replace it identically when it's degraded, but its use remains the same. And whenever a use changes, we adopt a project-based approach, case by case. I will give an example. The interior network distribution. So we changed the technical principle for the air distribution because it was extremely energy intensive. But at the same time, we managed to keep the current pipe design to give each element a relevant and a renewed function. And to do this, we are working very close to Renzo Piano's studio in France that helps the centre to, from the beginning, even before the protection was...
And Renzo himself.
And Renzo himself. And we are working with the team every month, every 2 months. We manage to understand better the center with all the chat we have with them. So it's okay.
Wow, it's more than okay. I think we're all set for the first video peel. I'm happy to thank the 4 of you, and I'm happy to launch the second video peel. So for the second video peel, we're more focused on healthcare design. And for the second session of questions, I'm happy to welcome on stage Yannick Fleuret, Ambassador of the EU Climate Pact in charge of institutional relations and negotiations at FIAG, as well as Director of Development and Strategy at Monomerie Chemical. Bonsoir, bienvenue.
Thank you very much for the invitation.
Thank you for being with us tonight. So the first question, get prepared, is for both Simone and then Yannick. And you focused a lot on Morocco and China projects in the first row of questions. And my new question is about how does this expansion illustrate your ability to become a global player? Simone.
I think our international expansion demonstrates our ability to address major social challenges, health, urban growth, and the environment. In China, with projects like Ningbo urban waste incineration plant, we transform a highly technical facility into a civic project, combining an iconic honeycomb facade, some educational spaces, and a museum in order to engage the community into the recycling process. For the story, I explain a little bit the facade. Unfortunately, we don't have the image right now, but it's on the website for those who are interested.
We use your expertise to imagine them.
Okay,
no problem.
So the concept of the facade, why it's a honeycomb, it's like bees bringing pollen to the hive to produce honey. The trucks bring waste to the factory to produce energy. And children visiting the facility will live with a small bee puppet that will be offered by the operator of the plant. And so they can bring back home a symbol of this cycle of energy that is happening in the plant. In Morocco, a large-scale project like Health City of Dakhla clearly contribute to the modernization of healthcare system and support the country's ambition to become a medical hub in Africa. So this very different context illustrates our adaptability, bringing our French expertise, building strong local partnerships, and relying on multidisciplinary approach for more sustainability. And this is how we can see our role as a global player, to answer your question.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Moving from one head of development to another, because you're head of development at AIA, but now I'm heading to Yannick. So I'm very curious to getting more, more information about your cooperation on this from your technical point of view.
Thank you. The challenges we face over the world as the benefit and the view that the population have the face of waste. We know a lot technical about new infrastructure and environmental standards, but we often face different cultural behaviors where geographical place, such as isolated municipality in French Guyana, for example, are very important to take into account. In French Guyana, Guyane, as to continue this example, there is new infrastructure. And the importance of developing territorial solutions and involving population so that they are parts of the sector.
Thank you. I have another question for you, which is more general, let me say. So, how do you adapt to the context in terms of waste treatment? And tell us something more about the challenges that you face.
I represent Monomeries Chemical.
Of course, yes.
And Monomeries offers sustainable solutions for the treatment and recovery of waste into raw materials. What from those is tech. It is no more than a machine that produces monomer and energy for country and population. Our machine is plugging on the waste deposit, which reduces CO2 emission stopping incineration in order to also reduce the environmental impact.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Right now, back to Simone. We're talking about hospitals, as I said before, but especially your point of view, how do your hospital project may improve the healthcare system in Morocco?
Well, the project we are engaged in Morocco are very large scale. Actually, when we started to design project in Morocco, it was in the same time. It was in the same time a new policy in Morocco for the healthcare system. So they had to develop their facilities. So obviously our project are really in this dynamic Ibn Sina Hospital, together with another tower hospital that we are doing next to it, are among the biggest, the largest hospitals in Africa. So all this project will help Morocco to achieve its ambition to develop its healthcare system, as well as to become a medical hub in Africa. That's the objective of Morocco.
Thank you. We are passionate about books as well because we are an architectural magazine. So I was curious to know something more about your latest publication, Dromia Hospital. So in a way, tell me something more about the hospital of the future. I know it's a bit challenging, but give a try.
Well, we see the hospital of the future as a living, flexible and open building structure around 4 key elements. So flexibility, adaptable spaces to be need to integrate new use and new technologies. Second is compactness and flow optimization, bringing together emergency operating rooms and wards to streamline patient pathway and reduce energy impact. Third point is patient and caregivers experience. So emphasis natural light, special comfort, access to nature. Architecture itself is a healing factor. Last point is the hospital of the future needs to be able to interact with the city. So moving away from the closed fortress model, welcoming services and open to neighborhood for the hospital to becoming a urban hub. So with Dromia Hospital, we affirm that tomorrow's hospital will be flexible, compact, human, and urban.
Thank you. Thank you. You give a great vision about the hospital of tomorrow, but let's focus on the hospital of today. It's a very, very complex type of design, and you know better than me for sure. And so how do you normally address all these challenges?
You mean the complexity of a hospital?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So AIA was created 60 years ago by the Association of Architects and Engineers precisely to address complexity in health sector. Since then, we diversified, but we can say that dealing with complexity is our DNA. So back to your question, designing a hospital means addressing 2 complementary dimensions. On one side, the high-tech aspect. This includes, of course, medical planning. So we have great experts for that. But also engineering, including sustainability. And we rely on digital tools like BIM. So with this tool, we are able to all work on the same model: architects, engineers, interior designers, landscape designers, economists. Everybody works on in the same model, so it's really a very good way to address complex projects. On the other hand, hospital also has a low-tech aspect, and it's very important. It's the human dimension, and I can say architecture itself can create values through atmosphere, light, and relaxing spaces, which are really essential for the both patient and caregivers. So it is designing a hospital is really a balance between these high-tech aspects and this low-tech as well.
That's very interesting, this balance between high and low tech. I'm very curious to know, how do you think that generally speaking, the healthcare system and the healthcare design can be, in a way, can foster, can be a driver of urban development. But I would like to know the technical side first and design side second. So I will ask first Yannick on this, and then to you, Simon. Okay, Yannick, go first.
As an ambassador of the climate pact to European Union, we set up projects with communities, companies, schools, with the aim of raising public awareness through various action. All these major action work always is to have concrete results that result the deputy with one we work to topics such as plastic pollution. So, excuse me. Our goal is to succeed is writing new law with the deputies that they will present to the National Assembly and at European Summit.
Thank you. Let's move to the design side.
So for me, I can say healthcare has become a city building catalyst, and the project of the health city of Dakhla that we showed in the movie earlier is a good example. It combines a hospital, a campus with 3 medical universities, a conference center, a sports center, and a 150 housing unit combined with activity and commercial facility. So in the city of Dakhla, this project will create a real new urban hub, and such projects attract doctors, students, families, investors, while boosting the territory. So the hospital becomes a quality of life infrastructure and a driver for innovation.
Thank you. The last question for the second video PO this time goes to Adrien. And when I close my eyes and I remember of the early beginnings of AIA, I think of an hospital, because you began as designers with hospital projects, And my question is, how did you move from this type of expertise to other fields?
Yes. So, as Simon said, hospital architecture is one of the most complex fields, because it has to deal with flow organization, with safety, with technical performance, with sustainability, and so on. So I think that all these fields of expertise gave us a strong foundation, strong ground to, and from there, from this ground, we moved to other demanding projects, such as stadium, airports, urban districts, or museum. So, for example, as Simon said, today in Morocco, we're not only working on hospitals, but also other kinds of projects. And the common ground of all these projects is that they are all projects that embody a strong level of complexity. It can be technical complexity, architectural complexity. It can be also social complexity, and we are happy when it's complicated. So maybe you already said this in the video. So sorry, Delphine. You were right before me. So our strength, I would tend to say that I finish on this. Our strength is our multidisciplinary organization. So architecture, engineering, planning, environment, and such. Yes, and each project enriches the others and strengthens our ability to support major urban and territorial transitions. Hope I answered your question well.
Thank you. Thank you. So, very inspiring approach, and I think that the future will hold even better perspectives. So, now we are staying definitely local, but with a broader lens, let me say. So we're talking about how can we support the health of territories. And along with me, again, Delphine Bégy, president of AIA Life Designers, and last but not least, Christine Oroboval, historian and directress of Fondation AIA, in charge of research, by the way. So welcome on stage and thanks for joining. So since you are in charge of the Fondation AIA, I would like to, get more familiar with your activity and what you do, what is your scope. Please, the word to you.
Thank you, Luca. There is a lot to say, actually, about the foundation,
Up to you to start where...
Yeah. No, I will start by saying that it's been 15 years. I always say 10 years, but I've been for 5 years now, so it's 15 now. And it stands at the crossroad of architecture, environment, and health, of course. We've been speaking about this since the beginning. And its main purpose is to lead research projects. We were speaking about building project, but actually this fundamental research is also there to nourish, the practice of our architects, but not only. And that's why I'm trying to address the issue of a larger prospect there, that is building the city, seeing it only by the health perspective, but not only what we were meaning about the hospitals, and sanitary perspective. The foundation asks, as in every research, a key question. What is our key question, actually? It's how can urban design and architecture actively promote well-being? And everyone is going to say that it's kind of really a really simple question, But it's only a simple question in assumption. If I ask you to describe what it really means when you are conceiving a project, it starts to be very, very thorough. Why? Because in practice, it needs to put together a lot of people that are actually working apart, And so that's exactly what we are trying to do in the foundation, is that to create a collective dialogue between all those people as they can work together outside of the timing, of a project, because a project, it's a timing. We are always speaking about delivering on time, but for a research project, you don't have this kind of objectives, and you have also the right to be wrong. So this is really important. So in practice, what do? We do research, of course, and we do debates, and we do exhibitions. And for example, we published a book, I came with my book because there's always a book with a good corpus, it's 2 volumes, and nearly a new one. We are working on it in 2026, it's coming. And we organize an itinerary exhibition, so I came with it too, with this, and the exhibition is named Comment allons-nous? It's very important for us, this exhibition. Why comment allons-nous? It was named How Are We Doing, you know, in internationally development, because we were showing for the first time the exhibition in Venice in 2021 during the Biennale of Architecture. It was really interesting to show this first version of the exhibition, because it was the first time actually that the foundation was trying to speak to a larger crowd, you know, and we had like many different people. It was really, really interesting, because at the beginning it could seems to be like a researcher project, you know, but we have seen students, we have seen just like people coming just because it was an exhibition, you know, near the Giardini. And what we learned about this is that actually the question that was asked during this Biennale in 2021, just after COVID, I remind you that, was how we'll be living tomorrow. How will we be living tomorrow? But we were asking, how are we living today and how are we doing? So that was the translation of comment allons-nous? And for us, it was really important to ask this question today, because there are many things to do also today, you know, and not only in the future, or not only for future people or future prospects. And this is important. And then the exhibition was shown in Grenoble 2 years after, and now it's in Lyon since the end of November, but we will come, you know, we will come to that after this. And this was the occasion for us, as I said, and I insisted that, to work with architects, urban planners, historians, geographers, sociologists, doctors, scientists, and to share their knowledge and to test new ideas. So all our activities are focused on one thing, and the definition and the relation of what we call the déterminant santé, determinants of health, in cities, and this is important for us because we are researching on cities, facing the challenges of tomorrow. You know, we'll be numerous of people living in major cities, and we took the definition of the World Health Organization of what are those determinants of health. So the context is what, to be precise? People, the context of people's life, where people actually live, determine their health. And so, if you blame individuals for having poor health or just crediting them for good health, it is totally inappropriate regarding what we are researching. Individuals are unlikely to be able to directly control many of those determinants of health that we are responsible for. And when I say we, just like all of us, that we are involved in the fabric of the cities. You know, and if we don't make this conscious, you know, when we conceive cities, we don't realize that we miss all of what is at stake when we're speaking about physical environments, social balance, you know, access to education, access to a good alimentation, and etc., and so on. So, because we ask a lot of questions in the foundation, you know, so you
have to.
Oh yeah. So my other question is, how we build environment, and not only urban design and architecture, you know, influences our physical and mental well-being, and how we need science to reveal those links. So the question is more and more complex. So how do we do this? We try, you know, to make the answer by combining scientific expertise and creative design, of course, because it's our essence, and the foundation helps, you know, to move forward, to generate, of course, new urban models, and I insist on this word, that are truly inclusive and sustainable. And why do I use this term model, you know, as an historian? For an historian, this word is really important, because a model remains a model. It's scientific. It can be changed, you know. Adrien was speaking about the Centre Pompidou, saying it's a shift in paradigm. And it's exactly the same. The there was Cité Jardin. We created a different typology and models on different architectural theories, and we have to keep on thinking about that, you know, and not like sitting and being like fixed in the same model. So if we do not realize that we have influence of a on the theoretical model and not only on the practice, what we do is just like reacting to always create new typology, but the roots is always the same model. So that's what we are trying to explain in the foundation. I know it's kind of complex, but it's going to be clearer when we speak later about what we really do in the exhibition. And for long-term goal in the foundation, I just want to make it clear. It's Alexandre. You were speaking about economic challenges, and I think it's really important also to say that it's an architectural agency who is financing project researches, but it's for every people. It's not only for us, because what we are creating is for sharing with mayors, sharing with inhabitants, and this is really important because it's a huge investment. And I thank the associates that I see here, and of course the president, because they renewed. Just here, it's just the celebration. It was a couple of days ago, our budget for 3 years. So now we have 3 years to keep on doing this research. But maybe in 3 years, you know, we will not have this budget just because it's not our main purpose to do this. So sometimes when we go to different cities, they ask us, but why are you doing this? But because it's our responsibility too, you know, and this is really important for us, that this vision to move forward an urbanism of hospitality and to understand that architecture is part of this hospitality, and it's the topic of the main publication. And also the same for resilience and shared well-being has to be, you know, part of every challenges we face.
Well, that's definitely a game changer. To be honest, you know, when you have budgets and ideas, that's perfect. And so many questions. But to keep it simple, I would like to stick on the architectural side just for another question to you, which is about, you know, the way that I would say urban planning and building design can shape, in a way, and prioritize the health and the well-being. A few words more on this.
Yeah, I think what is really important in this question is the term prioritize, actually. And that is precisely the message we try to deliver in the exhibition. The exhibition, you know, is just the mean for the collective dialogue. And our main goal here is to enhance the connection between urban planning, health, and, of course, what we call architecture in favor of health. It's kind of our baseline for this. And it's very interesting to see it to a large extent. And to factors such as, if we start with where we live, the state of our environment, our income, education level, and our relationships with friends and family. If we start the project with that, we will do it totally differently, you know. And we will have considerable impacts on health. Whereas, and it's very important, the more commonly considered factors, such as access and use of healthcare services, often have less of an impact. But today, 10% of these factors that have impact are 100% of the public health budget.
Wow.
Yeah, I say it. And our responsibility and the impact we can have is 70% of our individual health. So we can change 70% of it, but the budget is here in 10%, you know. So this is, I think, the only thing you have to keep in mind. If there is one thing, it's this one. And the other one is what? Actually, because we want to have influence, I said it earlier. We can also, I think, regard the urban planning development, because everyone knows that here, of course, but how do I make a new neighborhood? There is many stakeholders in there. And then you have the first is the urban development planning tools. In those urban development planning tools, if you can see something related to social well-being, environmental specifications that are not only related to regulation or buildings and etc., just call me and tell me where it's written, because it's not written anywhere. It's just like what we call in French, I don't know this word in English, charge foncière and rentability, you know. So if we shift those things that have a real value, you know, the gap in social security in France, it's 15 milliard, and it's going to be 24 in 5 years, maybe. So we can find some financial interest in all of those topics that are not directly related to resolve health issues. So the exhibition shows also something else. After COVID, everyone was discovering that health and cities are related. So from my historical point of view, it's just an absurdity, you know, because all the cities have been linked with health since the beginning. Roman empires, Greeks, Middle Ages, pavement of the streets, and etc. It was also to close, you know, some deals about security, health, tranquility, etc. So it's related since the beginning, because the city is the artifact of the human, you know. So we have to consider this, and we have to shape all our architectures or urban planning documents related to those topics of health. And for an example, I give you an example because I don't want to explain how it works, like the diagram of the determinants of health in the foundation. It's like really complex to explain it, and you will see it on the website of AIA Foundation if you want. But I give you a small example. When we make a relation in our research with a corpus, with scientific documents, hundreds of scientific documents, that scientists all over the world, they write things about health, related to architecture, related to cities, related to all of those topics, environment, but they make it in their lab, in their university, and that's it. What we did is try to find all the subjects that were related to all those topics, and we mix them in a database, in a huge database that is shown with an ergonomy on this diagram. And we don't have any answer, but we can clearly show the links between a topic related to health, mental health, or physical health, or social health, when you go to the family of the determinant of health, and then related to what we actually do, you know, on urban planning or architecture. So I give you a small example. It's this one. If you live near a small green space, it can reduce severely the risk of mental health disorder, not only because of the contact with nature, but also because it favors social relationships. No one doubts that. If I say this to everyone, assume that it's true, you know. But even if it's obvious, it's not proven scientifically. So when you put this assumption to complexity, everyone is saying, yeah, it's assumption, you know. But how do I translate this in an urban planning document? No one knows how to do this. Or it's dedicated to association. In France, we love association, where they do the social link, community links, and etc. It's great, you know, but if the association stops, this stops. What is stopping is actually social and mental issues growing when you suppress this green space. So what I am saying, that it cannot only be financial consideration, of course, and this could go with hundreds of examples, because in this research we can show hundreds and hundreds of links with a bench, with a cycle path, with a tree, etc. And it makes you change your point of view about the scale of what is wiped out, you know, in some cities, even if it's a huge or little interspace, you know. But it's fundamental to health. So This is kind of what we are doing, you know, it's very serious. But it's a huge task, of course. And it has to be shared with all the stakeholders. That's why we make this exhibition. It could have no exhibition too. You know, I was speaking about budget. We could just like do this and it could do the job. But what we have to do, if we want to really change the things, is to go to the territory of the politics. So that's why we are going to Grenoble, that's why we are going to Lyon, and that's why we are working for 2 years, we know, with the people there, and going to search for some data, and etc. And with all that, we mix together all those stakeholders that I was speaking, you know, earlier, the politics, the doctors, the scientists, architects, urbanists, engineers, and they are not like in the constraints of a competition, of a project. They're just like creating this collective dialogue. And most of all, we can also attract people like the inhabitants that actually do not have conscience of this too. You know, for them, it's just like a topic of social health and politic health, but it's not related to inhabitants and it's not accessible. And that's how we can build a collective, healthy environment. I give you this testimony of a journalist, you know, I think it's kind of a good conclusion. He was coming there. We made a press visit, you know, for the opening of his exhibition in Lyon. And he was there, he was from the general public press, and he visited the exhibition and he came, you know, with this idea that it was probably another exhibition by specialists, addressing specialists, you know, with very complicated concepts. And it was not like really untrue. But he said this, he wrote this actually in the article. So I quote him. After about an hour of exploring, you live with a changed perspective. You start seeing benches, bike paths, and squares differently. The exhibition doesn't claim to answer all questions, but rather provides many evocative ideas, understandable by everyone, and questions about how a city can become a lever for collective health. So all is said there.
Thank you. Very, very inspiring. A few words, very, very inspiring. I started with Delphine, and I'm going to finish with you. Just, I would like your contribution for the ethnical side, you know. You know, all the AIA Foundation, you're doing great stuff, 100% sure, but we talked about the shift, and I'm heading to the word success. So how do you work on the redefinition of success through architecture, shifting it from an economical growth to a flourishing of the territory, of the context? Word to you.
In a few words.
Of course.
In today's world, technology is no longer just another tool. It has become an environment itself. For an architecture firm like us, AIA, this means moving beyond a purely project-driven or profit-driven logic. Technology reshapes our relationships with our surroundings. It produces irreversible effects, and it tends to function as an autonomous system, rarely subjected to truly rigorous ethical scrutiny. For an architectural practice, this translates into new responsibilities, not only regarding the concrete aspect of projects. I mean, materials, energy, land use, carbon footprint, or biodiversity, but also in relation to the social, urban, and cultural fabric in which those projects take shape.
Thank you. No, that's fine. That's fine. I think you said very inspiring words about, you know, your perspective. And as I said in the very early beginning, we are passionate about the human side, your manifesto, not just as architects, but as people. And in this latter question or video, let me say you definitely stressed it out. Very, very impressive. So I think that for tonight we're all set. And we thank you for joining us for this inspiring episode of the Architect series on AIA Life Designers. Have a good night and see you in November for the upcoming episode. Thank you.